and they're giving 100%. So I think many school districts would like to take our place on the K-8 program. I think we're doing a fabulous job, and the results are there, and you can tell by the number of people who are here, which is a good turnout, that we care.
Thank you. Ms. Burke.
I think Hooksett very fortunate to have all the proper ingredients. Taxpayer support, great facilities, stable faculty, but like any recipe, a lot of times it comes down to the cook. How are these ingredients going to be merged together and made into the final product? And from time to time, that varies. And I think that's why we're here tonight. You know, nothing is the same all the time. And our ingredients, we've been, even through this economic downturn, we've been able to hold all of our teachers, keep our facilities up to date. We need some work on the cooks. And I tend to think I'm a pretty good cook, and that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question is 2 minutes, and we'll start with Mr. Damon. Provide an example from the last 3 years when you would have done something differently and why. This is professionally or publicly. We don't care about personal stuff. Right? Something professional or public that you did and what you would do differently and why.
Well, I would say in my professional career, I currently hold a job out in Portsmouth, which is a drain to me and my family to drive that distance every day. It's 10 hours a week that I spend on the road, which certainly cuts down on the time that I can spend with my family. And I sort of regret taking that job as early as I did. I think that if I had held off for a few more weeks, I think that I would have found a job much closer into the area, and I could spend more time with my family.
Thank you. Ms. Regan.
I believe that something that I've done recently is gone back to school and was able to get some certifications and some things that I needed. Those certifications and licensing will take me many more steps in my career. If I had known and had the confidence in myself to go back to school and do that years ago, I would have done it 8 years ago when I changed my career. And I wish I had done it 8 years ago, but I'm really happy today that I've been able to accomplish those goals.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
These questions are getting more interesting. It's had things that I could control personally. I think I've been pleased with my choices, my decisions, and my involvement in all the communities. I wish things physically would work better, but I don't have any control of that. But hey, that doesn't stop me, so I'll continue to do that. I think my best quality is being able to work as part of a team, a school board team, Lions Club team, Historical Society team, or whatever team I'm involved in, because, as I said, it's just me. And again, I can't do it alone for success. And so I think having good friendships I developed over the last 3 years and beyond, I think have seen me through. So that's all I can do.
So you wouldn't have done anything differently? I mean, I'm just asking again, if you didn't hear anything different.
Oh, differently. Okay, I'm sorry. Would I? Perhaps not. Maybe I had encouraged a little further discussion on providing a public forum a little earlier on regarding the high school issues. I think that certainly would have helped communicate things better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do regret kind of losing interest not losing interest, but not having enough time to go to school board meetings, because I did that very consistently for 2 years, and I feel now that I've got back involved in it. I wish that I hadn't been away for that time, because I feel that I might have been able to have more of a part of being involved then instead of kind of coming in now. And I think that most of these things we need to get in the early stages, and when we can step up, we do. And I kind of regret not running for school board maybe 3 years ago, thinking that I could be sitting here now as the incumbent instead of coming in when I feel things are more dire. So I do regret not pursuing this seat I'm in earlier. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dubus.
I think the only thing I can think of that I might have done differently is probably spend more time with my family and my wife. I think she deserves a little bit more, and in the past, being on a somewhat fixed income, I've had to get other jobs. I refereed volleyball college and high school, and I volunteered various places, and I've done some other things. So before I retired, I had to do these other jobs, and I'm director of driver education. So it's a lot of time, and I think I would have done it differently if I could have retired earlier or won the Powerball. I would have spent more time with my wife and my family.
Thank you. I'm going to ask 2 more questions of the full group, and then we'll come back to questions from the audience. This next question is a 1-minute question. We'll start with Ms. Regan. Actually, you referenced this already. One of the core value statements for SAU 15 states that we believe that it does, in fact, take a village to raise a child. What does this mean to you as a school board member?
And as you said, Becky, I've kind of mentioned this in the past, and I think we've all touched on it. It's a combination. It's a combination of faculty, it's a combination of administration, and it's the community working together. And it does take a village to raise a child, and I think it's the community input that we have such a wonderful advantage with. They're all huge parts of that, and we have to listen to what the faculty is saying. We have to listen to what the parents are saying. We're making decisions for every child, and they have chosen us to sit on this board to make those decisions. And we need to be sure that we can live with those decisions and know that they're what we feel are the right choices. So yes, it absolutely takes a village, and it's the community, it's the faculty, it's even the kids. They all help each other as well. Their community input really is going to provide what we raise our children to be in the future, to be the future leaders of Hooksett.
Thank you. Mr. Sullivan?
Well, I may have already answered that question, but to me, again, it takes all of us, all different seasons, ingredients, as David Pearl said. I know he may be a good cook, but I may be a chef because I work in a restaurant as well. But I think just working together, each of one of us getting involved, whether civically, whether in your church, or whether with the youth groups. It's all good because we are what we grow up with, and I think we've grown up in a good school district, in a good town, and we're not perfect, but hey, if we were perfect, we'd have any fun trying to make it even better. So, and I think that's what we're trying to do is make it better, and I think each step Hooksett is getting better.
Thank you, Mr. Pearl.
One of the things that I've learned in dealing with town politics and some of the issues in town is just when I'm ready to bang my head against the wall and say that this law or this reason makes absolutely no sense, it does make sense. New Hampshire has a great set of laws. They sometimes on the face seem to make no sense, but there is always a reason in the end. And there's always a reason for all the components here. We're fortunate to be able to have this library. Some people might utilize it, some may not. We're fortunate to have our school, our charitable groups here in town. Not all of us are aware of them, but that's where the village comes from. And that supports the school, and the school is able to do its job. So I think it all may seem a little chaotic at times, but that's what a village is. And in the end, if we can come together, then the students will benefit from that. And I think that happens here at Hooksett. As much as we sometimes fight, in the end, we come together and we serve the students of this town.
Thank you. Mr. Dubus.
Yes, I think the mission statement and the 5 core values that the school board has adopted in the past, I think, are excellent. I think I've quoted from them many times at the school board meetings, actually, especially that one. And I think right now, the current school board is not following their own policies, their own core values. If you read through those 5 values in the mission statement, I don't think they're following those at all recently, and I think they should be followed. of course, they're very important.
Specifically, it takes a village to raise a child?
Yeah, and specifically that one, I quoted from that one, that same part earlier this evening, that the decisions are based on what's best for the children, for them, it says. But of course, it does take a village. It takes everyone, like Mr. Sullivan said, Mr. Pearl. It takes all of them put together. It's a good, well-written core value, and I think Hooksett should abide by it.
Thank you. Mr. Damon?
I'll actually answer the question, it takes a village. I define a village. Okay, what is the village? We have businesses, we have families, we have students, we have every person that has involvement in this community. And if we combine them in the right ways, we can get a very good educational system. Now, we've talked about getting all the ingredients together and being a chef and a good cook, but I think the school board is there just to pull all the ingredients together. Okay, it's not my job to educate the students. We have people that are far more qualified than I am to do that. So just have all these ingredients, our businesses, which are sorely lacking in this town. We need to have some method of attracting more businesses, because we're bickering between the different departments. Quality education comes from all the involvement. Sponsorships from, or not sponsorships, but pride in the sports teams that we have. You see that in the football team and the soccer teams. People get really fired up to participate. So.
Thank you. And Mr. Sullivan, we'll start with you on this one. 30 seconds for each person. What single quality do you admire most in other people?
Openness, candor, and being considerate.
Well, that's 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can only go for one helping, I think openness, that we're open up to our thoughts and our views, and they're willing to share your views, because if you're closed, you can't, we're not going to be able to figure out where you're coming from and understand your thoughts and your methodology. So being open with people, and I think that's good.
Mr. Pearl?
I would say continued community involvement, even with those people that I disagree with.
Thank you. Mr. Dubus?
I think the number one thing is honesty, and a lot of things come into that. People who work hard, people don't try to cheat out in their job or other things. I think a lot of things culminate into honesty, but I think honesty is definitely the number one thing that I admire.
Mr. Damon?
I guess I'd like to paraphrase something from the Bible that says that they will know you by how you love other people. So that quality would be selflessness.
Ms. Regan?
I think the thing that I would admire would be, again, I have to say that I would agree with you, that the selflessness is something that it's amazing to see some folks in action and the things, how they're involved in their community and what they're involved in. And selflessness is a very hard thing to give, and when you learn that skill, it's amazing what people do and how much work they put into things. And I think that's just a skill that we all could do better at.
Thank you. Are there other questions from the audience? Yes.
Recently, we adopted an anti-bullying policy, and you'll have to answer it differently, but are we tracking how many bullying incidents?